There are moments in life when everything changes, not because something dramatic happens on the outside, but because something quietly shifts within you. A realization settles in, a resistance dissolves, and suddenly the same world feels different. This is where true transformation begins, not with noise, not with effort, but with awareness. Today's message is about 8 simple words that operate in this exact space of inner stillness. They are not meant to impress anyone. They are not meant to be spoken aloud, and they are certainly not meant to be shared. Their power comes from silence, intention, and the way the human mind responds when it feels safe, private, and focused. Most people believe manifestation is about asking loudly, visualizing aggressively, or repeating affirmations until exhaustion. But the mind does not respond to force. The subconscious does not open itself to pressure. It responds to calm authority and quiet certainty. These 8 words work because they bypass the surface level thinking that doubts, questions, and resists change. When spoken silently, they slip beneath conscious resistance and speak directly to the part of you that shapes habits, beliefs, and perception. Think about the moments in your life when you felt most powerful. They were rarely moments you announced to others. They were moments you felt deeply, privately, without explanation. This is the same principle at work here. When you keep something sacred and unspoken, your mind treats it as real and important. Silence removes the need for validation. It removes comparison. It removes fear of being judged. In that quiet space, belief grows stronger. These 8 words are not magical spells. They do not bend reality overnight. What they do is far more effective. They shift your internal state. And when your internal state changes, your decisions change, your reactions change, your energy changes. Over time, the world begins to respond differently to you because you are no longer operating from lack, fear, or desperation. You are operating from alignment. Another reason these words must remain private is because sharing intention invites interference. Other people's doubts, opinions, and skepticism can weaken your focus without you realizing it. Even well-meaning responses can plant seeds of uncertainty. When you keep your intention to yourself, it remains pure, undisturbed, strong. The mind is incredibly sensitive, and protection of your inner world is essential when you are creating something new. This practice is not about escaping reality. It is about engaging with reality from a position of inner stability. These 8 words act as a reminder of who you are beneath anxiety, overthinking, and fear. They gently return you to a state of trust, and from that state, manifestation becomes effortless. Not because life suddenly obeys you, but because you are finally aligned with it. What you are about to learn is simple, quiet, and deeply personal. And that is exactly why it works. Manifestation does not begin with asking the universe for what you want. It begins with understanding why asking often fails. Most people try to manifest from a state of need. They repeat affirmations while secretly worrying that nothing will change. They visualize a future while feeling disconnected from it in the present. This inner contradiction sends mixed signals to the subconscious mind. The mind responds not to words alone, but to emotional consistency. When your thoughts say one thing and your emotions say another, the emotions always win. This is why silence plays such an important role in manifestation. When you speak something out loud, the conscious mind becomes active. It starts analyzing, judging, and questioning. You begin to wonder whether the words sound right, whether they are realistic, whether you truly believe them. In contrast, when words are spoken silently, they move directly into the inner space where belief is formed. The subconscious does not argue. It accepts repetition, feeling, and familiarity. Many people believe that repeating affirmations, louder or more often, will speed up results. In reality, force creates resistance. The mind senses effort as a sign that something is missing. True alignment feels relaxed, it feels natural, it feels quiet. The 8 words you will use are effective because they are not shouted at reality. They are gently introduced to the subconscious, like a calm suggestion rather than a demand. Keeping these words private is just as important as saying them silently. The moment you share your intention with someone else, you expose it to their perception. Even a simple reaction can influence your belief. A raised eyebrow, a skeptical comment, a joke. These small moments can create doubt, and doubt weakens focus. When you keep your practice to yourself, your mind feels safe. And when the mind feels safe, it is far more open to change. There is also a deeper psychological reason why secrecy strengthens manifestation. Privacy increases commitment. When no one else knows what you are doing, you rely only on your own inner authority. You stop looking outward for approval or confirmation. This builds self-trust, which is one of the most powerful emotional states for creation. The universe responds to clarity, not explanation. Another common mistake people make is treating manifestation like a test. They say the words, then immediately look for signs. They check their phone. They scan their surroundings. This behavior communicates impatience. It tells the subconscious that you do not trust the process. Silence teaches patience. It allows intention to settle instead of being constantly disturbed. These 8 words are not meant to convince the universe. They are meant to convince you. When belief becomes natural and unforced, action follows effortlessly. You begin to move differently. You notice opportunities you see ignored. You make choices that align with what you want instead of what you fear. This is why manifestation always starts within. Not with noise, not with proof, but with quiet certainty. Before you use these words, your inner state matters more than the words themselves. Manifestation does not respond to technique as much as it responds to condition. The same words spoken from peace will create a very different effect than words spoken from anxiety. This is why preparation is essential. Not preparation through effort, but through settling. Your mind must feel safe, present, and unpressured for alignment to occur. Most people carry tension without realizing it. Tight shoulders, shallow breathing, a restless mind that jumps from thought to thought. When you attempt to manifest from this state, you are asking change to arrive while your body is signaling stress. The subconscious reads this as danger, not readiness. That is why the first step is always calming the nervous system. Sit comfortably. Let your breath slow down. Allow the body to release, even if only slightly. This physical shift creates mental openness. Desperation is the greatest enemy of manifestation. Wanting something too intensely sends a message of lack. It communicates that what you desire is far away, unavailable, or difficult to obtain. The universe does not respond to urgency. It responds to alignment. These 8 words are designed to be used only when you are no longer chasing an outcome. They work be steady. When you feel steady, grounded, and emotionally neutral. Calm confidence is far more powerful than emotional intensity. This does not mean you must feel perfect or joyful. It simply means you must not feel desperate. There is a subtle difference between desire and need. Desire is relaxed, need is tight. Desire allows, need pressures. Before you say the words, take a moment to check in with yourself. Ask whether you are trying to control the outcome or whether you are open to allowing it. If there is tension, pause, breathe, let go, even briefly. Another important aspect of preparation is mental clarity. Manifestation does not require you to know exactly how things will happen. In fact, overthinking the details often blocks results. Your role is not to manage the process. Your role is to align with trust. When the mind stops micromanaging, the subconscious becomes creative. Solutions appear naturally. Paths open unexpectedly. This is why these words are said internally and slowly. Rushing through them defeats their purpose. They are not a checklist. They are a signal. When spoken gently in the mind, they invite cooperation rather than control. You are not commanding life, you are aligning with it. It is also important to release attachment to timing. Impatience creates friction. When you demand immediate results, you reinforce the belief that what you want is missing right now. These words work best when you allow space for unfolding. Trust does not hurry. It relaxes. Manifestation begins the moment you stop forcing and start allowing. The 8 words simply help you enter that state. When your mind is calm and your body is at ease, your intention becomes clear. And clarity is the doorway through which change enters. The 8 words you are learning are not about controlling life or bending reality to your will. Control comes from fear. Alignment comes from trust. When people attempt to manifest by trying to dominate outcomes, they unknowingly reinforce the belief that life is working against them. These words exist for the opposite reason. They guide you into cooperation with life rather than resistance to it. At a deeper level, manifestation is not about what you want to receive. It is about who you are becoming. Every desire points to a version of you that feels more complete, more free, or more secure. The 8 words are designed to shift your identity gently toward that version. When identity changes, behavior follows naturally. You begin making choices that reflect confidence instead of doubt. You respond to challenges with clarity instead of panic. This internal shift is what truly alters external results. Many people misunderstand manifestation as passive wishing. In reality, it is an internal realignment that changes how you show up in the world. When you trust life, you stop forcing situations. You listen more. You notice subtle signals. Opportunities appear not because the universe suddenly changes, but because you are finally receptive. The 8 words help you enter this receptive state by reminding your subconscious that you are supported rather than struggling alone. Another important aspect of these words is that they release the illusion of separation. When you feel disconnected from life, you feel the need to chase, control, and protect. When you feel connected, you move with ease. These words reinforce a sense of belonging and cooperation. They remind you that you are not outside of the process. You are part of it. This realization softens resistance and strengthens trust. Alignment also changes how you perceive obstacles. Instead of seeing them as signs of failure, you begin to see them as guidance. Delays become redirection. Challenges become refinement. The 8 words help shift your interpretation of events. And interpretation matters more than circumstance. 2 people can face the same situation and experience completely different outcomes based on how they interpret it. It is important to understand that manifestation does not always look the way you expect. Sometimes what arrives is not the exact form you imagine, but something that serves you even better. When you are aligned, you are open to being surprised. Control narrows possibilities. Trust expands them. These words gently remind you to stay open rather than rigid. Over time, this practice strengthens inner authority. You stop relying on external reassurance. You begin to trust your intuition. Decisions feel clearer. Doubt loses grip. This is not because life becomes perfect, but because you become steady. And steadiness is magnetic. The 8 words are not a demand placed on reality. They are an invitation to alignment. When spoken with sincerity, they shift you into a state where receiving feels natural. From that state, manifestation is no longer effortful. It becomes a quiet unfolding, guided by trust rather than fear. How and when you use these 8 words matters just as much as understanding them. Timing is not about astrology or perfect conditions. It is about mental openness. Certain moments in the day naturally quiet the conscious mind and allow the subconscious to come forward. Early morning, just after waking, and late at night, just before sleep, are especially powerful. During these times, the boundary between thought and belief is thin and suggestions are absorbed more easily. When you wake up in the morning, your mind has not yet fully engaged with worries, plans, or external demands. There is a brief window where your thoughts are soft and unguarded. This is an ideal moment to say the words silently, not as a routine, but as a gentle reminder of trust. At night, the mind is letting go again. Saying the words before sleep allows them to settle into the subconscious and continue working without effort. Restraint is essential. These words are not meant to be repeated endlessly. Repetition without feeling turns them into noise. The subconscious responds to meaning, not volume. Saying them once or twice with full presence is far more effective than repeating them dozens of times while distracted. Quality of attention matters more than quantity of repetition. When you say the words, slow down, let each word land. Notice how your body responds. You may feel a sense of warmth, ease, or subtle relief, or you may feel nothing at all. Both are fine. Do not chase sensations. Manifestation does not require emotional fireworks. It requires steadiness. Trust that the process works quietly beneath awareness. Another important element is emotional neutrality. Many people try to feel extreme excitement or intense belief while manifesting. This often creates pressure. The 8 words are designed to be spoken from a calm center. Think of them as a quiet agreement with life rather than a dramatic declaration. Calm acceptance communicates certainty more effectively than excitement ever could. It is also important to release the outcome after you speak the words. Do not hold on to the desire tightly. Imagine placing it down and walking away. This act of letting go tells the subconscious that you trust the process. Obsession signals doubt. Detachment signals confidence. The moment you stop monitoring progress, alignment deepens. If you miss a day, nothing is lost. This is not a strict ritual. Guilt creates resistance. Consistency matters, but gentleness matters more. The purpose of this practice is to build trust, not pressure. The moment it feels heavy, step back. Over time, you may notice a shift in how you think and act without consciously trying. Your reactions soften. Your decisions feel clearer. This is the real sign that the practice is working. The 8 words are not forcing change. They are allowing it. Use them with patience. Use them with respect. Let them work in silence. When manifestation begins to work, it rarely announces itself in dramatic ways. Most people expect instant results or obvious signs, and when those do not appear, they assume nothing is happening. In reality, change often starts beneath the surface, in ways that are subtle and easy to overlook. The 8 words begin their work by shifting your inner environment long before anything external rearranges itself. One of the first changes many people notice is a quieter mind. Thoughts that once felt overwhelming lose their urgency. Situations that used to trigger anxiety feel less charged. This does not mean problems disappear. It means your relationship with them changes. When the mind is calmer, perception becomes clearer, and clarity is the foundation of aligned action. You may also notice a growing sense of emotional stability. You react less impulsively. You pause before responding. This space between stimulus and reaction is powerful. It allows you to choose rather than repeat old patterns. Manifestation often begins by freeing you from habits that were silently blocking what you desire. As these habits dissolve, new possibilities naturally emerge. Another subtle sign is the appearance of unexpected ideas. Insights may come while walking, showering, or doing something ordinary. These ideas feel natural, not forced. They do not feel like desperate attempts to fix your life. They feel like quiet guidance. This is alignment in motion. When the subconscious is no longer burdened by fear, it becomes creative and responsive. Opportunities may also appear in small, ordinary forms. A conversation, an invitation, a piece of information. These moments are easy to dismiss if you are waiting for something dramatic. But manifestation often works through everyday channels. When you are aligned, you recognize these openings and act on them without overthinking. It is important not to rush this phase. Subtle shifts are signs of progress, not delay. When you try to force visible results too quickly, you interrupt the process. Trust deepens when you allow changes to unfold naturally. Patience is not passive. It is an active state of confidence. You may also experience moments of doubt during this stage. This is normal. Old beliefs do not disappear overnight. When doubt arises, do not fight it. Fighting creates resistance. Simply return to calm. Say the words silently again when you feel steady. Let them re-establish alignment. Manifestation is not about escaping reality. It is about engaging with reality from a clearer, calmer state. As your internal world stabilizes, your external world begins to respond. People may treat you differently. Situations might resolve with less effort. These shifts are often gradual, but they are meaningful. The 8 words are not producing change through force. They are removing internal obstacles that once made life feel heavy or resistant. As those obstacles dissolve, movement becomes easier. This is how manifestation truly works. Quietly, gently, from the inside out. There is one rule in this practice that matters more than all the others, and it is the rule most people struggle with the most. Do not seek validation. The moment you begin looking for proof, signs, or approval from others, you shift out of trust and back into doubt. Manifestation weakens when it is observed too closely. Just as a seed needs darkness and stillness to grow, intention needs privacy and patience. Many people feel the urge to talk about what they are manifesting. They want encouragement. They want reassurance. They want someone else to believe with them. But this instinct often comes from uncertainty. When you truly trust something, you do not need to explain it. Silence becomes a form of confidence. By keeping your intention private, you protect it from outside influence and inner hesitation. Testing the universe is another subtle trap. People say the words and then immediately look for confirmation. They check for signs. They interpret random events. This behavior sends a message of mistrust. It suggests that you are unsure whether the process is working. Trust does not demand evidence. It allows time and space or things to unfold naturally. There is also a psychological reason why constant checking blocks progress. When you monitor something too closely, you activate the analytical mind. The analytical mind is focused on control, measurement, and certainty. Manifestation flows through the intuitive mind, which responds to openness, relaxation, and belief. The more you analyze, the less room there is for intuition to guide you. Another reason silence matters is that other people's reactions can subtly affect your belief. Even supportive comments can create pressure. Doubtful reactions can plant uncertainty. Over time, these influences pull you away from your own inner authority. This practice is about strengthening your relationship with yourself, not about convincing anyone else. It is important to understand that not telling anyone does not mean hiding or suppressing. It means choosing where your energy goes. You are conserving focus. You are allowing belief to deepen without interruption. This is an act of respect toward your inner process. If you notice the urge to talk about your manifestation, treat it as a signal to return inward. Ask yourself whether you are seeking comfort or reassurance. Then offer that reassurance to yourself instead. This builds self-trust, which is one of the most powerful emotional states for creation. As time passes, you may notice that you feel less compelled to explain yourself in general. You become more grounded, more centered. This is a sign that alignment is strengthening. When inner certainty grows, outer noise loses importance. The power of this practice lies not in secrecy for its own sake, but in the stability that secrecy creates. When intention is protected, it has room to mature. When trust replaces testing, manifestation unfolds with far less resistance. Silence is not emptiness. It is strength. At its core, manifestation is not about changing the world around you. It is about changing your relationship with life itself. When people struggle to manifest what they want, it is rarely because the universe is withholding something. It is usually because they are operating from fear, doubt, or resistance without realizing it. The 8 words you have learned are not a demand placed on reality. They are a reminder of trust, alignment, and inner steadiness. True manifestation begins when you stop trying to force outcomes and start embodying certainty. This does not mean pretending everything is perfect. It means trusting that life is responsive when you are aligned. When you hold this state consistently, your actions become natural and effective. You stop chasing, you stop proving, you stop overcorrecting. Instead, you move with quiet confidence and life meets you there. Timing is an important lesson in this process. What is meant for you often arrives when you are no longer tense about receiving it. This is not coincidence. Tension signals lack. Relaxation signals readiness. The 8 words help you return to that. Relaxed readiness again and again. They ground you in the present rather than pulling you into anxiety about the future. It is also important to understand that manifestation does not always arrive in the form you imagine. Sometimes it comes as clarity instead of circumstance. Sometimes it comes as a redirection instead of a reward. When you trust life, you recognize that these outcomes are not failures. They are adjustments that guide you towards something more aligned. Over time, this practice reshapes how you see yourself. You begin to identify less with fear and more with stability. You trust your intuition. You listen more deeply. This inner shift is the real manifestation. External results are simply a reflection of this internal change. There may be moments when you feel discouraged or impatient. When this happens, return to simplicity. Say the words again when you are calm, not to fix anything, but to remind yourself of who you are beneath the noise. Manifestation is not about constant effort. It is about consistent alignment. The most powerful part of this process is that it restores a sense of inner authority. You stop looking outward for permission to believe in your own experience. You become grounded in trust rather than hope. This is where real peace begins. Keep the words private. Use them gently. Allow life to respond in its own timing. What is meant to find you will do so when you are no longer chasing it. When you embody trust, alignment becomes natural. And from that state, manifestation is no longer something you try to do. It is simply how you live.